Bonnie Mincu, Senior Certified ADHD Coach and founder of Thrive with ADD. Welcome to video 2 of How to End Frustrating Behavior Patterns. I'm going to show you a powerful technique to find your true answers. But first, think of something that you did this week or that happened to you lately that frustrated you. Something that felt really familiar, because it happens to you a lot. Perhaps you forgot an appointment or you couldn't find something you needed, and it feels like you're the only one who experiences this problem all the time. You'd love to solve this once and for all to end the stress, anxiety, and shame that this problem causes. You've tried to solve the problem. You've read books about it, tried all the ADD techniques to deal with it, and nothing really worked. Sometimes you're convinced the problem is you, and that you're just doomed to suffer from this problem your whole life. And if you think you've tried everything, you either have not identified the real problem, or you haven't actually implemented the right solution. People with ADD are clear about the challenges they experience that cause frustrating results. But these are usually just symptoms of what's actually a more complex issue. The real problem lies below the surface and is less obvious. So people search for tactics to try to solve it and never get to a strategy that will really work for them. As long as you do that, you won't break free of repeating the same old negative patterns. Randomly grabbing tactics and tools is sort of like putting a Band-Aid on if you fall and sprain your ankle. It might cover a scrape, but it doesn't address the pain and swelling or the possibility of a hairline fracture. There is a way to get past the inadequate Band-Aid stage to find the answers that will really help. It's time to draw upon the magic of the 5 whys. It starts with asking yourself why as soon as something goes wrong. That could be a frustration or an early warning. It's a symptom. Don't stop there, but keep asking why, to go beyond the symptom to the real problem. By the time you've gotten to the 5th why, you will have gone beyond the initial problem to reach insight of the real issue, the root cause of this problem. Here's an example. Corey was late for his doctor's appointment. Why? He was late leaving home. Why? He was working on a document, hyper-focusing, and didn't want to stop. Even though he heard the alarm and his phone go off and knew it was time to go. Why didn't he stop? He was afraid that if he stopped, he wouldn't come back to where he was in the document. He'd probably forget all about it. But why would he forget? Because there was nothing to remind him to finish it. Why not? He had no system telling him what steps of projects had been completed and what still had to be done. In this case, although we started with Corey's lateness leaving as the problem, it was actually a symptom of the real problem, that he couldn't bring himself to stop in the middle of a piece of work. He had nothing set up to track his progress. For Corey, having a system he could count on would go a long way to curb a number of frustrating tendencies. Is this making sense to you? You may have a similar problem on the surface, but a totally different root cause. Let's take the same example with a different person. Claire was late leaving for her doctor's appointment. Why? She was working on a document and didn't want to stop, even though she heard her phone alarm go off and knew it was time to go. So far, it sounds familiar. Why hadn't she started it sooner? She had a week to do it. It had been pressing on her mind, but she just couldn't get started sooner. She found herself stalling, doing all kinds of unimportant tasks instead. Why was she stalling? She felt uneasy about doing this assignment. It involved a complex subject that she felt unsure about covering, and she had not been able to get as many expert quotes as she'd wanted. She was afraid her editor would be disappointed. Why hadn't she gotten enough experts to talk to her? She stalled on contacting them. Why? Because she was afraid she would sound naive in her questions. Claire's issue is one that very often leads to avoidance among people with ADD. The classic fear of looking stupid. It can just be a problem in itself, or actually be the rock bottom root cause of other problems at work, as in Claire's case. Here, the real solution for Claire lies in learning to break through the mental paralysis of her fear and insecurity that will otherwise keep her from rising in her career. Once again, the root cause of this problem has gone far afield of the initial issue of being late for a doctor's appointment. We started with lateness and the need to make a deadline because Claire had not been able to get started on time because she had been paralyzed with insecurity. Both Corey and Claire set a timer to make sure they'd leave for their appointment on time, but both of them heard it go off and ignored it. So, unfortunately, next time they think about setting timers, they'll probably dismiss it as something that doesn't work for me. Their problem wasn't the timer. In fact, without a timer, there was probably no hope of Corey or Claire pulling out of hyperfocus when it was time to go. But it's only a tactic to cover the surface. To create a strategy that will really work in ending frustrating behavior patterns, you need to go deeper to identify the real problem. Are you ready to go deeper? Over the next few days, whenever anything doesn't go the way you wanted, just ask yourself those 5 whys, and this part's important. Write down your answers, save them, and bring them to my free live webinar on Tuesday, October 20th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's called A Deeper Dive, Reaching Solutions That Work, and I will walk you through finding your insights into why those ADD-type habits keep on recurring for you, so that you can become very clear on the kind of strategies you need. Just click below the video to register for this free webinar, and you'll get access information, reminders in your email, and time-limited bonuses to help you develop and implement your individual solutions. So hit that register button below. I'm Bonnie Mincu, and I'll see you on the webinar.